am amped. I am amped. What's going on, Black people? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to our Black Wealth conversation. This is where we get a chance to really talk about what's going on in the Black community and to keep it real and to kind of break things down in a way that other people can't really do it or don't really want to try or don't really care. In case you want to know what I believe in, I believe deeply that in the Black community, we need a big infusion of intelligence. It needs to be cool to be smart again. We can't have a community built on ignorance and where the most retarded sons of bitches in the world are the ones that we put on top of the pedestal. We need to have a celebration of Black intelligence where we actually get a chance to be who we're meant to be. You know, we are the original kings and queens. We are the ones who started all of this. And we're back in Egypt. Remember, we were teaching white people how to do math and teaching them how to do astronomy and all of that. So it's kind of ironic and sad when they act like they're teaching us and they ain't teaching us nothing. We're actually teaching them, or we were teaching them. And now we're kind of, falling a little bit short of the glory that we're supposed to actually have. And this was on my mind today because I was looking at this story that was with Harvard. It had to do with the Harvard University affirmative action case. And basically, in case you haven't been following, at Harvard, the Asian students are suing over affirmative action. They're kind of pissed off. They're kind of mad because they're like, wait a minute, we bust our butts, we work hard. We're the ones who get the high test scores. We get the perfect scores and the perfect GPAs and all of that. But yet you've got this affirmative action stuff that's kind of like not letting us get our fair, our just due. And here's the funny thing, right? I'm a big fan of affirmative action, but I totally see where they're coming from. I see where they're coming from because I have seen a whole lot of situations, where I've gone into, Asian households, Asian families, and I've seen a whole different culture from what I've seen in some of our households, right? I've seen kids that, little kids where they're expected to study 3-4 hours a day, every day at the age of 7, right? I've seen these families where everybody's learning how to start a business. Everybody's hustling. Ain't no such thing as a lazy son of a bitch up in the household. Now, it doesn't mean every Asian household is perfect. We know that that's just simply not true. We know that would be a myth. That's a lie. But, I do know that if you go to schools like UCLA and USC and places like that, you're going to see a huge Asian community where it's kind of the norm to be an outstanding student. It's very normal to be, top of your class. It's normal to aim to try to be valedictorian. Nobody's trying to be the next NFL star, NBA star. That's not nearly as common as kids trying to be stars at math and science. And I'm here to kind of spread the word on that and to really kind of share that perspective with you, because I need you to stop. I need everybody that's Black and intelligent to come out of the closet. I need you to come out of the closet with me. And what does that mean? Well, that means, stop allowing an ignorant world to make you into an ignorant person. There's nothing cool about being ignorant. There's certainly nothing liberating about being ignorant. Ignorance is the pathway to slavery. There's nothing Black about being ignorant, but there's a lot of ignorance that we're fed in media, and I think we buy into that. I really think we buy into that. And and I'll give you an example. My future stepson is, he's let's see here. Veronica says no volume. Let me know if you can hear me. I see Tommy's in here. Let me know if you guys can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. Say yes, I can hear you. If you cannot hear me, then I guess you won't say anything because you probably can't even hear me say that. But my future stepson, he's going to this school, this really good math and science academy. It's a boarding school, actually. And, it's not too far. It's about 40 minutes away. So he's away from home, but he's still close by. And I went to this school, right? And I walked up in there, and it wasn't too many Black people in there, but there's a few Black families. You have to get extremely high test scores to get into school. So we were super excited and all this other stuff because they literally teach college level stuff at an early age. Like I'm talking about, they're learning college level mathematics at 14, 15 years old. That's how good this school is. And so I'm in this school, and again, it wasn't like there were no Black people there. There were a few Black families, but there were a lot of Asian families, a lot of white families, stuff like that. And so long story short, I just saw a culture. I saw a culture, within these families where education was paramount. I saw a culture where in these families, they wanted their children at the top of the class, straight A's, prepare for the future. These parents were as eager to get their children into the top math and science academy as our kids are eager to get our kids into the top basketball and football programs. You ever see black families how crazy we get when we think little Pookie got a chance to make it to the NBA, or he's playing in the Pee Wee football league and he's 12 and he's 12 years old. He's only, he's a little short little kid and he ain't even that fast, but the whole family literally is betting on him, like leveraging on the idea that he's going to make it to the pros and get everybody out of the hood. You ever see that? That same desperation, that same insane energy was the energy I saw from Asian and Indian parents when it came to getting their kids at the top of the class when it came to math and science. It wasn't no game for them. They would cut your throat to get their child into that special class and to get their child ahead of the curve. And now I'm not trying to say any of that culture that it's always healthy. I'm not trying to say that you should drive your children crazy. We know that if you push your child too much in anything, it can lead to bad consequences. You got to make sure you're balanced when you do it. But here's the thing. Let me tell you about this school. The first thing that he started doing when he started at this school was they put him in an entrepreneurship program. They got him doing elevator pitches like we teach in the Black Business School. They're literally inventing a product and are going to pitch the product to investors next month. And it ain't nothing but the first month of school. 15 years old. They're doing pitches for investors on products that they're inventing at school. What the hell kind of Black parents and children are doing that? None. But we pitching basketballs and footballs like crazy. Because let me tell you, at this school, they got kids that come out there that are 22-year-old millionaires. One of the graduates of the school was the founder of YouTube, who is now worth billions and billions of dollars. One of their alumni created YouTube while he was in school. So what I'm trying to say to you is that there's a whole world out here. The news I want the Black community to share. This is my gospel. I didn't realize I was a pastor until about maybe a year ago, and I accept it now. And in my capacity as an economic preacher, I'm here to bring you the good news. You know how the pastor says, I'm gonna bring you the good news. The good news is that you ain't got to do that dumb shit to get ahead. There's actually something that you can do that will preserve your dignity and create real opportunity for you. And that thing for you to do is to have a culture of wealth building and entrepreneurship and education. If in your household, if every Black household in America, which this is not going to happen, every Black household in America will never do the same thing. It's just not going to happen in my lifetime or yours. But if your household, that's what you control. In your household, if you are pushing higher level education, I'm talking about educational intensity, where your child, when they make straight A's, check it out. Let me tell you about my household. The 11-year-old makes straight A's. The lowest score on her report card was a 96, and she's in advanced classes. She didn't understand. I said, yeah, we got to get you a tutor. She said, wait a minute, why do I need a tutor? I'm not struggling in anything. I said, no, but there's always another level. There's always another level. If you're smarter than all the fifth graders, then we're going to make you smarter than the sixth graders. If you're smarter than all the sixth graders, we're going to put you in a space with seventh graders, then eighth graders, then ninth graders, then eventually college students, because we want you to be the best that you can absolutely be. Well, why is that? Is that weird? Is that strange? Is that, oh, that's too extreme? No, it's not. Because go watch a little boy in the hood with a basketball. He dribbling that ball like he's already in the NBA, like he's already hooping for the 76ers. That we got kids in the hood that can do things with a basketball that grown men can't even dream about. So we already know what it means to pursue extreme extremities and excellence when it comes to sports. We know that culture extremely well. What I'm trying to say to you is that shit ain't working. That is not working. Do you know that out of every 10,000 Black boys that graduate from high school that eventually go on to play college ball, take the 10,000 best Black male basketball players in the United States. Do you know the number that actually get a chance to go to the NBA? 3. Out of 10,000 Black boys that finish high school, the number they get to go to the NBA is 3. So my point to you is that this is not the right hustle. This is not, I used to think that when I was young, I used to think, you know, if I played that because I was fast and I could jump, that if I practice hard, one day I could make money and get an NBA or NFL contract. And I started getting older and looking at the data. That's when I became a scientist and a statistician and a mathematician. I started looking at the numbers. I said, man, this is a horrible, horrible lie. And the thing is, people don't understand how deep the lie goes until you've wasted your whole life investing in the impossible dream. And I call it the impossible dream because it is so rare. It's like you're better off, you're better off actually just buying like a whole bunch of lottery tickets and hoping that that's going to feed you for the rest of your life. Just go take all your money, every penny you got in your savings account, sell all your stocks, sell your house, take all that money and go buy some lottery tickets. And that will give you a better shot at success and wealth, economic success, than actually trying to get to the NBA or the NFL. Now, one of now here's the thing. Here's the reason the illusion works so well is because that one in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 or whatever it is that actually makes it, they market him a lot. They market all these guys. So you're watching an NFL game, you're seeing that almost everybody on the field is black. You watch an NBA game, all the guys on the court are black. So you're really thinking like, oh, look at all these black people. There's so many black people who get to play professional sports. So it's got to be easy. There's got to be plenty of opportunities. Look at all these jobs, all these spots, right? And so what's happened is you've been deceived because you're only seeing what we call this in statistics. We call the survivorship bias. You're biased because these are the guys who survive. This is that one guy, that Paul Pierce or whoever you look, LeBron James or whatever the guy is, you're looking at him and he's the 1 in 10,000 that made it. You're not looking at the other 9,999 that didn't make it, right? So what I'm trying to just simply say to you is, if you want success in your family, if you want to achieve the highest heights, just pay attention to other communities. Go watch the Asians. Like, stop thinking like, oh, well, they ain't black, so they don't go through what we've been through, so that's why. No. I know Asian kids that like study 3-4 hours a day, and they go to Harvard and Yale because they got perfect scores and perfect GPAs. You show me a black kid who studies 3-4 hours a day, he too will have perfect scores and a perfect GPA and will get admitted to Harvard and Yale. Just like the Asian kid, he'll get the same level of opportunities. Maybe he'll still be black. He might still get messed with at a police stop. He's not going to get the exact same opportunities he would if he were white, but he's going to be in a very good position. He's going to be better off than most white people. What I kind of think we have to do is stop thinking that because we're black, that means you don't have to try. A lot of times we think that because you're black, that trying is for suckers. That, because I'm black, because it's hard, I might as well not even try. If I don't try, then I cannot fail. And so I'm going to sit down in the middle of misery. Because let's just be honest, in our households, we do not commit to education the way we should. We do not commit to wealth building the way we should. We do not commit to building businesses the way we should. And the reason I'm the only person within a 100-mile radius who will tell you this is because everybody has convinced you that there's something wrong with holding black people accountable. You are the little retarded child in the back of the little bus. Nobody is supposed to push that little retarded child to do better. Everybody believes that because he's disabled, he can't do nothing, so why ask him to do anything? Or a better example would be a blind child. Imagine a child that's born blind. You could take two approaches to this child. You could say, oh, the baby's blind, the baby can't do nothing, so let's not ask the baby to do anything, right? Or you could take the other approach that Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles's mothers took, which was, you're gonna have to be twice as good because you're blind. Yeah, I'm not gonna feel sorry for you just because you're blind. I'm going to push you harder because you're blind, because being blind is really difficult and you really need to make sure that your shit is together, right? In fact, let me show you. Y'all probably saw this video. If y'all haven't seen this video, y'all got to see it. Check out the video. Did anybody see the video of the little boy? Well, Peter, that the little boy that didn't have no legs that got into a fight. Did anybody see that video? I want to share my screen on this because I want y'all to just watch this with me right quick. Even if you've already seen it, it's like really fascinating to watch, to observe. But watch this video. This kid is fighting, and he's in this situation, and it looks like he's like a regular kid that's in a fight, right? And then he gets on the ground. Watch it. See, he's on the ground now, and he's taking his legs off. And I'm like, what is he doing? Like, wait, this kid ain't got no legs. What the hell? Now I want you to watch how good of a fighter this kid is, even without any legs. Like, watch this. I mean, this boy was throwing hands like nobody's business. Watch him. Look, he's moving around. He's walking with his hands and his thighs, I guess. I don't call them nubs. That's kind of mean, but y'all know what I mean. Now watch him. Look at the way he's moving. He's like, come on, punk. Like, what you want some? Right? So the boy can't mess with him. He's trying to fight him. He really can't. Now watch, he's going to swing at him. Watch this. Look, he swung at him. The boy ducked and dodged, and then the little kid with no legs jumped on him and whooped that ass. Look at him just whooping his ass, right? So this fight went super viral all over the internet. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was going crazy over this fight because they were like, how can a kid with no legs, fight like that? Well, I'm willing to bet you that this kid grew up in a household where there was no room for feeling sorry for yourself. There was no time to sit around feeling sorry for yourself. You got to work with what you got. So growing up, I bet you this kid was born without legs. So he just learned how to adapt. I had a classmate like that who had no arms. So she came to class. She would type with her feet. She would drive with her feet. She did everything with her feet. And I was like, how do you eat with your feet? She said, well, the same way you eat with your hands. I just learned how to do it because that's what I was supposed to do. Now, imagine if somebody I know you can't see it. If you're on Instagram, you can't see it. So you got to go to drboystv.com to see everything. So I want you guys to know that. Now, I got a little guest in here that's going to come in, and we're going to talk about the next topic. But the point that I really want to make to everybody here is very simple. You work with what you got. Sure, being Black does mean that maybe you don't have everything that you would have had if you were white. You weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You were born with some challenges that white people don't have, but don't ever think you were born with nothing. And don't ever think that that's an excuse for you not to try. Because I guarantee you, if all of our kids were studying 4 hours a day, then we wouldn't have an illiteracy problem in the Black community. Y'all want to blame white people for the fact that your kids are illiterate. No. We need to also look at Black people, because you can get on the internet and learn how to read. You can go, you can get on your cell phone and do grammar lessons and learn how to write. You can literally get on YouTube and learn how to do math. So don't act like white people made a law saying that Black people can't learn the things we need to learn. We just have a culture where we are very interested in all the things that do not matter. I know people that spend more time wondering if Beyonce is going to have another baby than they spend figuring out what their own babies are doing in school. That's trifling and ridiculous and crazy. So, Attorney Nicole Compton, you're joining me tonight. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. What do you think about everything I've been saying just now?
Completely agree. I mean, education, it starts at home. We can't pass the buck. Essentially, we cannot pass the buck. And it takes a certain level of responsibilities. We have to be responsible for whether or not our kids get ahead in society, because we know that society could care less. They could care less. It starts at home. Exactly. Then you collaborate with the teachers. You can collaborate with the teachers, whether you send them to a Black school or not. But at the end of the day, it's on you.
And I know that was true in your household. I mean, how many you had how many sisters and how many valedictorians in your house?
Well, I'm the oldest of 8, so there's 5. I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers, and the 4 that are right under me were all valedictorians. So
you had 4. So in your family,
they were ready for us to go.
And everybody in your family is Black. And in your Black family, out of all your sisters, you said there was 5 girls. Is that right? Or 6 girls?
6 girls and 2 boys.
6 girls, 2 boys. And out of the 6 girls, 4 of them were the valedictorian at your high school. And that's because in your household, there was a culture of education. And what's crazy is, you were not even one of the valedictorians, but you have an MBA and a JD, like, and you were a top student. So it's crazy. I mean, and that's what I really think people, and the funny thing is that that's not the type of Black people they show us on TV. They want to feed us, you know, Cardi B with her, you know, with her broken English and everything. They want to feed us nonsense. And like this is what it means to be Black. No, I think that what your family did, that's what it means to be Black. Excellence is what it means to be Black.
You know, one of my parents had degrees. Like my mom did not even go to school until after I already had my first degree. So these were people who didn't have education that were going to make sure that we got them. And my dad told us, he was like, I cannot afford to put 8 of you all through school. Maybe one. You all are expected to, he set the bar. And because he set the bar, we were expected to meet it. We were expected to get there. And so, you know, it was a priority in our household for us to do well. And, you know, I was a mom at 16 boys. I got pregnant at 15. And even still, you know, when most girls dropped out, I still felt like that I was missing out, and I was not gonna, you know, I was not gonna let that stop me. And so education at that point was my way out. So I had to, and you know, as a young mom, as a single teen mom, I had to keep pushing, because otherwise it was looking even more bleak for me if I didn't. Education was one of my saving graces.
Wow. Well, you know, I love it. I love it. And everybody, I want you to know who I'm talking to. I mean, she can only stay for a few minutes, but I'm glad she came through. This is attorney Nicole Compton. She's one of the most respected Black attorneys around in the entire United States. And she is very, very sharp, very, very smart. She also happens to teach in the Black Business School. And actually that we have like a little law school for people who we don't give out law degrees, but if you want to know the law, we believe Black people should all know the law because of what we deal with police, what we deal with in business, what we deal with in predatory lending, things like that. And so if you want to know the law, we actually do have that law school, and our lawyers teach them. They're very, very good. You can go to theblacklegalprogram.com. That's theblacklegalprogram.com. Now, as I pull up this story I want to ask Nicole about, it has to do with Colin Kaepernick. We're going to also talk about LeBron James in a little bit after Nicole bounces out. But I want you guys to make sure you hit the like button, share button, and subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button, and also please make sure you subscribe to drboycetv.com. That's drboycetv.com. Now, Nicole, I wanted to ask you about this case. Colin Kaepernick's case against the NFL is heading to trial. Now, I'll read the first couple paragraphs, and I'd like for you and your attorney, with your understanding of the law, to kind of break down like what this means. So let me read the first couple paragraphs. It says, an arbitrator is sending Colin Kaepernick's grievance with the NFL to trial, denying the league's request to throw out the claim that owners. I'm hearing some background noise. Let me shut that down a little bit. I heard it sounded like you had an angry dog. But hold on, I'll open it up in a minute. Okay, so an arbitrator sending Colin Kaepernick's grievance with the NFL to trial, denying the league's request to throw out the quarterback's claims that owners conspired to keep him out of the league because of his protest of social injustice. Kaepernick's lawyer, Mark Garagos, tweeted a picture of the ruling by arbitrator Stephen B. Burbank. So it sounds like they had an arbitrator, and I guess the arbitrator is allowing the case to go to court. So let's see, it says the 49ers quarterback argues that owners have colluded to keep him off of any NFL roster since he hit free agency in 2017. Kaepernick began a wave of protest by NFL players 2 seasons ago by kneeling during the national anthem. Y'all know the rest. Now, he contends that owners violated their collective bargaining agreement with players by conspiring to keep him off of teams. The case hinges on whether owners worked together rather than decided individually to not sign Kaepernick. Burbank writes in his ruling, quote, Colin Kaepernick's complaint alleging that his inability to secure a player contract since becoming a free agent in March 2017 has been due to an agreement among team owners and the NFL that violates Article 17, Section 1 of the collective bargaining agreement between the NFL and the NFL Players Union. So, Nicole, as a legal expert, what goes through your legal mind when you read what the arbitrator said? You know what? This is like the second victory in a week when it comes to the Black community. So essentially what they were trying to do is that at first they did a motion for summary judgment that basically said on its face, without having to even argue, just basically what's in the pleadings, what's in the original complaint,
based on the law, we should win. And it was the answer came back no. So now we have this where they're like, well, can we do a motion to dismiss? And basically the arbitrator sits in the place of a judge. And so whatever comes out of this is basically what the verdict is going to be. And so basically what it's saying is there is merit to what he's alleging. They have been keeping him out of the league, out of the ability to work and to get signed. And so somebody's going to have to pay for that. Now, this doesn't mean that he won, but this means that the other side, the NFL needs to start looking at how they want to handle this and if they're going to settle or not. So I would not be surprised if there aren't some kind of settlements that are going to be starting to be talked about and thrown out, because otherwise they're going to have to go through and they're going to have to argue this.
So do you think that based on what you know about the case, do you think that the NFL even really has an argument? It seems like there's so much evidence out there that at least, but then again, the court of public opinion is different from the real court of law, right? But it seems like there's so much evidence to say that Kaepernick was a qualified quarterback and that suddenly things went bad for him once he started doing the kneeling protest. Do you think that they actually have the ability to win an argument in court?
You know what? When you get to court, and even this isn't technically court, it's arbitration, it's really about who has the most compelling story. Yes, you have, they do have the law, they have the contract, so they have the article that talks about collusion. On its face, when I look at it, come on now, common sense is, we know, we've watched TV, they're keeping him out of the league. It is what it is. Whether or not the attorneys are going to be able to argue the best is going to show who's going to win. But my money is on Kaepernick, and the fact that this ruling came out today, it bolsters that for me even more. I see them, like I said, getting ready to settle.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it is. That's a good point. I think that, at least, again, I'm not a lawyer, but when I heard that it was open to go to trial, I just couldn't see where the NFL wins by really trying to argue this. Clearly we know that sometimes, what's right and wrong doesn't apply in the court of law. There's so many situations where it seems like the opposite, but I just couldn't visualize a scenario where they wanted a long drawn out trial, on something like this. And now here's the thing I was curious about too, Nicole. If Kaepernick gets a settlement and that, which is the NFL's way of, one, making it go away, but at the same time, the public is going to see it as almost like an admission of guilt. I'm wondering if other players are going to step forward, because there are lots of other players like Antonio Cromartie from the Indianapolis Colts, who also says, I was cut from the team when I started to protest. Cromartie was all pro. And now he's the guy. Now this guy, he was known for having all them damn kids. I don't know if y'all know. This dude had I think 11 kids with 8 women or something. So he's thinking about trying to keep up that child support. But he was a great football player. And when he went to the Colts and he started kneeling, he got cut. And his wife went on Twitter, and that's what she said. She said they cut him when he started protesting. So do you think that this will open up an avalanche of other suits against the NFL, or do you think that it might go away?
No, I don't think it's going to go away. And here's my thing. The NFL could have squashed this a long time ago if they did the right thing. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. I think that they believe that any publicity is good publicity because it keeps people watching. Every time you see a game, you're watching to see who's going to take a knee. You're watching to see if they're going to put their fist in the air, who's not going to stand there, who's going to stay in the locker room. So it's actually good for business for them. However, this ruling may not be what they want, because you are going to have other players that are going to come out. And, once you have the first ruling, it clarifies what should happen for all the rest. And so then there's the domino effect. You will have other suits that will come out. We just needed, it's just like with civil rights. You needed that one Rosa Parks to not get up off the bus, to not give her seat up before we have change. This is no different. The other part is, this is the crux of the case here is Article 17, Section 1 of the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, which is talking about the collusion. Essentially, you know, yes, they bargained to get it, but the NFL had more of, I guess, more of say so than the NFLPA, the union, did when you come to the collective bargaining. And so, y'all agreed to this. Y'all wrote it in the contract. Y'all didn't know it was in the agreement. So you can't write one thing and then not go by what was written. So I mean, it's in plain English right there.
Mm. All right, all right. Well, I appreciate your analysis. I know that you have a busy schedule, and you took the time to come in and address us, which I appreciate so much. If you actually want to see her, I know that tonight you're going to go actually on Fly Nubian Queen TV with Michi X, Michelle Polchik, and y'all have some interesting stuff. I think y'all were going to actually talk about what men want in relationships, and I told you guys I would actually stop by to say hi. So that's going to be later on tonight. So if you want to actually go and see the ladies and see what they got going on, also go subscribe at flynubianqueentv.com. That's flynubianqueentv.com. That's we have a lot of Black people coming together and working together as teams to form our own versions of media outlets. You know, you got MSNBC for the liberal white folks, Fox News for the conservative white folks. Well, we got stuff like Fly Nubian Queen TV, et cetera, for Black people that want to build our own and have our own and talk about our own issues. So go to flynubianqueentv.com right now and hit the subscribe button so you can check out what the ladies got going on tonight. So thank you very much, Nicole. It was great seeing you.
One other thing, I'll be at the All Black National Convention, y'all. So you got to come out. We're going to talk business. We're going to get it together so that we can set financial legacies for your families and for our communities. I'm going to be a part of that. So I'd hope to see you all a month from now in Philly.
Yes, I forgot to mention that too. Yeah, so Nicole's actually coming to the All Black National Convention. So you should come out. It's like a great big Black family reunion where we talk about everything. We talk about the business and the real estate and all that stuff, but we also talk about relationships and politics and activism and just all kinds of stuff. Jay Morrison will be there too, as well as Dr. Claude Anderson, and Michi X is coming out, and Dr. Shauna ATN. So it's really kind of a gathering of extraordinary Black people that are going to build the future. We literally, these are our Black superheroes. These are the real Black Avengers. This is the real Wakanda. So thank you, Attorney Nicole Compton. I appreciate your time very much. And I'll see you soon. All right. So let's move on. I want to answer some of your or respond to some of your comments I see here. I see that Harriet says you're following from Mali, from Africa. Oh, all right. You're Ugandan. She says, I'm Ugandan and my 8-year-old daughter is currently enrolled in the Black Business School. Good for you. Keep up the good work. Thumbs up to Dr. Watkins. My daughter is working on the principle of poise. Yes. Poise is something we teach our children in the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program. We teach them that you want to keep your poise. POIS. POIS stands for producer, owner, investor, saver. Producer, owner, investor, saver. So we tell the kids, look, when you grow up, you do not want to be a consumer. You do not want to be a borrower. You do not want to be a spender. You want to be a producer. You want to be an owner. You want to be an investor. You want to be a saver. So if you have a child that has potential and you want to see your child get ahead, go ahead and take a look at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. You can actually have the first 30 days for free with your child. Any number of children that you want to enroll, go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. First 30 days are free. You can give it a try. That's our Black Business School for children. That's one of the things we believe in the Black Business Schools. We don't try to just educate the adults. We want to educate the children because that's how you educate the community, because the children really are the future. And if we don't focus on the kids, then it's going to be hard for us to get ahead as a community. So so feel free to take a look. It's something I invented just for Black kids. I didn't create these programs for anybody else. Roderick, do you offer one-on-one coaching for real estate? I do not, because real estate, I know it, but we have experts. Dr. Venetia Dutra does a real estate class in the Black Business School. If you go to theblackrealestateprogram.com, you can check her stuff out, theblackrealestateprogram.com. Andre C. Hatcher has a whole school on real estate, theblackrealestateschool.com. So feel free to check those out. If you wanted one-on-one consulting with Dr. Dutra or Andre Hatchett or one of their colleagues, I'm sure that could be arranged, but just know one-on-one coaching requires one-on-one money. And so, for example, like I don't really like to do a lot of one-on-one. So I don't dislike it, but I discourage people from doing it. So actually my fee is about $500 an hour, which actually is low compared to a lot of my colleagues. But I set it there so that people that want it are the ones who are the most serious. Because when I'm doing one-on-one stuff, I can't talk to a group. I'd rather talk to a group of you than an individual person, because I want to try to reach as many people as possible. But at the same time, we can't do everything for free, because we have a lot of expenses that are required for us to do this outreach. Marketing costs money. Bringing in attorneys to teach in the school costs money. We have attorneys, we have PhDs. All the people that you had in college, we have people that are better because they have real life experience. They were top of the class. Also, they're Black. And that's something unique that the Black Business School offers. So feel free to check out theblackrealestateprogram.com. If you have a question and you're inside the actual webinar, put your question in the Q&A section, and I can answer your question there. If you put it in the chat, I may or may not see it. Let's see. Someone says, Mrs. Nicole Compton, what's your email? I'm in BS 103 and I missed a few live classes. Didn't get a notification. If you have any issues, this is a good answer for this person that applies to everybody. If you have any issues in the Black Business School, like I can't find the material or something happened and I had to miss class, send an email to support at theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support at theblackbusinessschool.com. We spend thousands of dollars a month having a top-notch world-class customer support team. That's why our customer satisfaction rating is extremely high. Because when you run a Black business, people don't trust you. People think, oh, you Negroes must be shady. Y'all must not be no good. So what we did was we said, we're going to go above and beyond to make sure that people know that we are superb at what we do. So we actually, the top investment of our company actually is customer service. So if you email support at theblackbusinessschool.com, you'll hear from somebody right away. They can answer any question. They can help you with any program. If you're trying to add a program to what you're already doing and your budget only allows for so much, they can work with you. So email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. The class he's referring to is Black Money 103, which is our entrepreneurship program. Attorney Compton, she didn't mention this, but she is a business startup expert. She is an expert at helping people answer every and any question they have about how to get their business off the ground. So here's the thing. I know a lady who used to have a regular job. She was a hairstylist. She was making about maybe $25,000 a year, something like that. And basically, she took one seminar. Now, her seminar was about $4,000 or $5,000. Our stuff is usually less than $100 a month. But she did one $5,000 seminar. And all they did was they showed her how to make sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed for her to start her business. And she got her business kind of lined up and laid out and moving forward. Then they showed her tips on how to get her first customer, how to get the business off the ground, stuff like that. Literally, she now makes about $80,000 a month, like $80,000 a month. Well, why is that? Well, because doing hair is a valuable service. The hair industry has millions, even billions of dollars in it. That's why all those Koreans set up those hair shops in your neighborhoods, because they know Black women will spend a ton of money on hair. In fact, there was a Korean beauty shop owner who beat a Black woman, punched her in the face. It was caught on video. And the Black people were there to protest. They were trying to protest this shop owner. And you know what he did? He had a 50% off sale. And so what happened was the protesters, the number of Black protesters was outnumbered by the number of Black women in line trying to get that 50% off sale. Now, I thought it was ridiculous. It was sad. Michi X and Fly Nubian Queen went in. I mean, she went off about it. She was cussing and yelling and screaming. And I was yelling and screaming too. Like, what the hell? How can anybody respect us if we can't even find another place to get our hair done? But at the same time, what that does is it speaks to the energy and the desperation that people have when it comes to getting something they really want. You can't stop people from finding a way to get money for their hair weave. You can't stop them from finding a way to get the clothes they want to have or the car they want to drive or whatever it is, right? But when it comes to things that we might actually need, like education or books or whatever, we might find an excuse like, oh, I would have read that book if I had more time, or I would have gotten that training, but it was too hard and I didn't feel up to it, right? But the thing is, though, if you are industrious in your thinking, let's say you love hair and you're good at it, if you learn how to set up a business model around your talent, then you can have an opportunity to make an infinite amount of money as opposed to working for somebody where your income is limited. So when this woman was in her shop, she was the best stylist. Everybody loved coming to see her. They would always request her when they came in. Well, she was getting some of the money. The owner was getting all of the money, right? She was getting, a paycheck. The owner was getting the lion's share. So what happened was when she took a business class on how to get her business off the ground, and she got together with some of her girlfriends, they kind of helped her get started. she then put herself in the position where she was getting the lion's share. And that's why her income went up from, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a month to $80,000 a month. And it was all a matter of tweaking what she was already good at. She still does hair. She still does what she loves, but she positioned it in a better way. Right. So anyway, in the Black Business School, we do have an entrepreneurship program. If you don't know about it, it's part of our Black Money sequence. You can take a look for, again, like a lot of our programs, the first 30 days are free. You can go to blackmoney103.com if you want to take a look. That's blackmoney103.com. Attorney Nicole Compton herself, the woman you just saw, she meets with students like 2-3 times a week. And all she does is answer every question you will have about how to get your business going. And the reason we hire so many lawyers to be on our faculty, in addition to PhDs, is because lawyers, they just know all the paperwork. They know the administrative stuff. Because so I hired them for the same reason I hired them for myself. I said, we should have a scenario where Black people can have access to lawyers on a regular basis, because lawyers just know a lot of stuff that helps you solve like really difficult problems that end up holding us back. So anyway, so if you want access to her class sizes are usually pretty small. Usually there's only 10, 15, 20 people in the room with her at a time. And so she can answer 1,000,001 questions. And that's better than going to a lawyer who might charge you $300-400 an hour just to have a conversation. So feel free, check it out. blackmoney103.com. It's blackmoney103.com. All right. So let me see here. All right. The next question is, unfortunately, women do not support the brothers. Sorry, I don't know what that means. I think Black women do support us. It just depends on which Black woman you're talking to. If you're talking to unsupported Black women, then hang out with other Black women. Can you recommend any good books for filmmaking? Good question, Terrell. There was a book I got. It was like called The Filmmaker's Bible or something. A lot of people like that book. If I was looking for a good book on filmmaking, what I'd probably do is go to Amazon, type in filmmaking, and then see what book comes up and which one gets the most recommendations, and then look at the reviews. Just look at, if it's got 4.5 stars out of 5, that usually will tell you that it's a very good book for you to read. So that's how I pick movies. That's how I pick books. That's how I pick everything. So you may want to try that. That might be a good way for you to find a good book on filmmaking. If you ever want to find any other books on economics and things that I recommend you and your kids read when it comes to money, wealth, all that, I actually have a book list as well at drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. All right, so let me show you another little story that I saw that was really interesting to me. It had to do with LeBron James, and it was LeBron kind of having this interesting. You could tell he's in transition. You could tell LeBron is kind of like he's being very smart. I mean, to be a kid, who kind of grew up in not the easiest circumstances, you have to be impressed with the amount of wisdom that this guy has. He's just not. He's extraordinary as an athlete. He's extraordinary as, intellectually. I have a lot of respect for him. And so anyway, one of the things LeBron admitted was he admitted that he had to adjust to white people when he came to that high school. Now, if you recall, he went to, St. Vincent, St. Mary Catholic School in Akron, Ohio. And he says upon entering the school, he didn't have any desire to talk to any of his white classmates since he was only there to play basketball. And so St. Vincent, St. Mary's, I believe, is one of those schools where, like a lot of schools do this, these white, rich private schools, they go to the hood, they get the best Black athletes they can find. So their school just happens to always win the state championship. When I was growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, we had 2 schools that did that, Trinity and St. X. So Trinity, and I was in high school thinking, how does this school that's full of white boys always have the best football team? Was because they would deliberately go recruit the best Black athletes, and they would pay them money under the table or give them a scholarship, stuff like that. And it kind of still happens at the college level, right? The NCAA, ends up making billions, literally over $1 billion a year out of the Black community because you've got, these athletes that where their parents want them to go have a chance to go to college. So in exchange for college, they get to, come to the university, and the university makes millions of dollars off of them and pretty much financially rapes the community. And then they also, unfortunately, they steal the athlete's ability to even study while he's there. It's one thing if I bring you to school where school's going to be the top priority and sports will be extracurricular. But I've taught on college campuses for 25 years, and ain't nothing extracurricular about D1 sports. There ain't nothing extracurricular about D1 basketball, nothing extracurricular about Division I football, nothing. It is a professional league. That's what it is. When you get there, they move you into a special dorm just for the athletes. You have a schedule that is so full that you don't get a chance to do what the other students do. They tell you what to major in. They pretty much only care that you are passing your classes. They do not care if you leave without being able to read or write. If you go to the University of Tennessee, you'll have guys that will get a diploma in their hand that literally cannot spell the word Tennessee. So what's really happening is that these kids are being screwed, but we think it's a benefit. We think it's a come up because we've been trained to believe that being next to white people is a good pathway to success, and that white people hold the keys to our freedom when really white people hold the keys to our cage. White folks don't hold the keys to your liberation. They hold the keys to your incarceration. Doesn't mean all white people are horrible. Doesn't mean I'm talking smack about white folks. But you ask me, you tell me, do you think that the black male collectively, the black men as a collective, not individually, from a collectively, have benefited from collegiate athletics? Have we benefited? Has it put us in a better position economically and otherwise? No, it has not. It has helped a few people. Again, that 3 out of 10,000, absolutely. Good for them. But at the end of the day, I know if I had to count like how many athletes I know that came in to the University of Kentucky thinking they were going to go pro who actually made it, versus those who came in thinking they were going to go pro who are now picking up trash, who are now unemployed, who are now addicted to drugs, who are now injured for life, who are now unable to take care of their families. That second category far outweighs the first category, right? But what happens is we see that one bright shining star, and that gives us false hope. They do that. Go watch the movie. Watch it with intention. The movie The Hunger Games is a perfect example of how black oppression works so extremely well. The Hunger Games ain't nothing but black oppression just applied to white people. They take one person out of 1,000, they parade that person all around so that everybody will think that that person could be you, when really that person will never be you because they're only taking 1 out of 1,000, right? So what happens with sports, and I want to dig deeper into what LeBron said, because there's more to this than just what he said. There's so many layers to this. And but the idea here that I want to really get to is, he was skeptical of white people. That's what he said. And when I saw it, I put it on my Instagram and I just wrote the hashtag. I wrote me too, right? And the difference between me and LeBron is that I used to be one of those people who would say something similar. I would say I used to be skeptical of being around white people. Now I'm not. Now I'm more used to them. Now I'm more now I know how to like them. Now I know how to work with them and get along with them. Now I'm more integrated. And then I went the other direction where I said, no, integration is not the key. I dipped my toe in that water and I don't like it. So actually segregation is actually my preferred state of existence in most situations, not in every situation. Doesn't mean I can't be friends with white folks. I do things sometimes where there's only white people there. It doesn't mean that I can't interact with them in a meaningful way in a lot of situations. It doesn't mean we can't share mutual respect, can't have a conversation on an airplane, all of that. I do all those things. But when you're talking about just that day to day, in terms of whether or not we as black people benefit by being more deeply interwoven into white society, white culture, I don't think we benefit. Not economically, not psychologically, not socially, not spiritually. No way do we benefit. Interracial marriage. Interracial marriage, of course, you can marry whoever you want. I'll never tell you you're a bad person for marrying interracially. I have people in my own family who've done that, and I love them. But I don't think we win when it comes to interracial marriage. I saw Alfonso Ribeiro. You remember Carlton from The Fresh Prince? I saw him on a show today, and he's sitting there with his wife and his kids, and he's married to, I think, some blonde lady, and I just thought about it. I just thought about all these guys in Hollywood and these athletes that want to marry white women. And it made me feel very, very sad for the black woman. It made me sort of say, okay, so when you're successful and you're black and you marry a white woman, there's some black woman who doesn't have a husband because you abandoned her, you left her behind. The black woman is forgotten, and that can't be good for the black family, can't be good for the black community. Also, when you talk about what LeBron said about being comfortable with white folks, we must ask ourselves, okay, so, from LeBron's perspective, does he, how does this change his life that he became more integrated into the white community, kind of got away from black folks? Well, it certainly increased his income earning potential initially, right? I mean, white folks have a lot of money. So by being at this school and playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers and performing sports in front of white people, he gets millions of dollars for that. But at the same time, there's that sort of dark side to all of this, where white folks in their institutions, their general rule is we will accept some of you, but we will not and cannot accept all of you. We'll take him. We'll take LeBron. We'll even take his homeboy Maverick. But we don't want no more of y'all. The rest of y'all can just stay over there, right? So that becomes extraordinary for Maverick and for LeBron. God bless them. I mean, brilliant young brothers doing amazing things. I'm so happy for them. But what about the other 40 million people that got left behind who just lost one of their greatest assets in their community, right? Like, what if the Black community had the vision, which I'm trying to help Black folks get this now. This is why I exist. This is why people like Dr. Boyce Watkins are here, is what if we had the vision to develop institutions in our own professional sports leagues so that when a LeBron James comes out of our community, we don't have to send him away for him to become rich and famous and successful. We can keep him right here in the hood. What does that mean? Well, let's look at the way the world is versus the way the world could be. The way the world is LeBron goes and plays for the Cavs. A few other Black dudes get in, a couple of homeboys get in the entourage. After that, it becomes 100% white. If LeBron had played college ball, the majority of the people that made the money off of him would be white guys. In the NCAA sports, the athletes are Black, but the people who cash the paychecks are white for the most part, the majority, right? NBA, same thing. The people that benefit the most financially tend to be the white guys, even though the players and their families do okay. I mean, I ain't feeling sorry for none of the NBA players, but the rest of the Black community kind of left behind, right? Most of the people who make money from the business of sports are white. With LeBron, not LeBron, I'm going to scratch LeBron out because he don't count. He's actually got a lot of conscientiousness about him. But most of these guys, most of these athletes, Odell Beckham, for example, he's a Kardashian now, right? The Kardashians are making money off of this cash cow, not so much the Black community. I would be also willing to bet you that a lot of these athletes, if you go behind the curtain and you say, okay, who's managing your money? Oh, it's Ari Schweitzman. Who is who gets to go and do the work on your house when you need repairs done on your house? Oh, that's Paco Mendez from Mexico. Okay, who is the person making money outside the stadium when the big games happen and the big championship happens and the Negroes are watching from home, but white folks are buying the tickets to the games and everything's happening at the stadium, this money's being made. Who's making money at that stadium? Who's making money selling the hot dogs and the t-shirts and all the other businesses that come with sports? It ain't Black people, right? It ain't Black people. See, that's what you lost when you lost the Negro leagues, right? You had a scenario where you didn't just have a situation where a few elite people or a few Black people and their families were being taken care of and everybody else was white. You had a situation where the athletes were doing well, the stands were filled with Black people, and the businesses that were connected to those sports were doing extremely well. Also, the Black athletes had Black accountants, Black lawyers, Black gardeners, Black managers, Black people that were taking care of them. See, you got to understand that the money in sports ain't really just with dribbling the damn basketball. At least half of the money in sports, probably 70, 80% of it is in the business infrastructure that exists around what is happening on the court, right? Do you understand? So pay attention. Look, if LeBron James and Steph Curry were having a one-on-one tournament and the tournament was being held in my driveway out front in my house and I could sell tickets to that game, I'm going to benefit financially from hosting that event. I'm going to be, and then I'm going to say, well, when people get here, they're going to want something to drink. I'll let somebody sell water, right? He's going to be Black. Then, they're going to need something to eat. Okay, I'm going to let you sell hot dogs. So he's going to be Black. Then, well, we got to sell the TV rights. Well, you know what? I'm going to sell it to a Black sports network or maybe Tariq Nasheed or some Black YouTube channel will want to make an investment and actually own the rights to air this game, right? So he'll be Black. What else? What else can happen? Apparel might get sold. The big game, the big one-on-one game, LeBron versus Steph. Well, who's going to be selling the apparel? that person's going to be black. Do you understand? So the whole infrastructure around, it's almost like, imagine when you were a little kid and everybody knew that Big Joe was going to fight, fight little Tyrone, who's quick with his hands, and y'all were wondering who was going to win, and everybody after school was like, oh, they fighting, y'all, fight, right? So the fight's happening, but the real interesting part of the fight is not just the fight itself, it's all the hundreds of kids that are outside watching this go down, right? It's so an event takes a life of its own that goes beyond just the act of dribbling a basketball or throwing a football. So what I'm trying to say, my point I'm trying to make on this is that when you're talking about a LeBron James and him saying, I had to get used to trusting white people, to being around white people, I think we should aim for a world where if a commodity like a LeBron James, a multi-billion-dollar commodity like a LeBron is coming out of the black community, he does not have to get used to being around white people in order to be successful. He can continue to be accustomed to being around black people. Like, pay attention, think about this. Do white kids grow up thinking that in order for me to make a living from my talent, I've got to get used to being around black people? How many white people do you know that just grow up, they're good, they're great at the piano, so they do piano concerts. They're doing, what is it, a concerto or whatever. I don't even know if a concerto is a noun or I don't know what the hell, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, so you're a piano expert and you're playing the piano and you're brilliant at, or you're a virtuoso. I think that's one of the words they use. So you're a virtuoso at the piano. Well, white people can host a concert. They can sell the tickets. They're going to sell the food outside of the venue. They're going to go rent the stadium from somebody who, somebody else who's white. They'll develop a whole infrastructure, a whole industry around what's happening with this event. And black people need not be included on any level. They don't have to learn this whole new set of cultural nuances, or this, what do they call it with black people when we got to do code switching, right? White folks don't have to code switch in order to be successful, but black people feel the need to code switch because we feel that in order for us to maximize from our talents, we got to go across the street. LeBron had to go in order for whatever was going on. His mama and him decided. Remember, LeBron's got the talent now. He's got the talent, whether he goes to the white neighborhood or not. But him and his mother decided together that in order for LeBron to maximize his talent, he had to go to the school with white people. So that meant for him to get the most out of his basketball skill, he had to go there, and for him to get a good education, he had to go there. So what that means is that for black folks, the objective for you to truly gain your power is to say, how do we develop enough of an industry where you don't actually have to leave your community to maximize the benefits of playing good basketball? Like, maybe you go to an HBCU and you stay black and everything's black and white folks got to come to you. And then two, what makes you think you got to leave your own neighborhood to get a good education? Do we not have black educators who love black children more than white people do? Do we not have the ability to educate our own kids? There's a school, a university. I talk about this university all the time, Simmons College of Kentucky, right there in Kentucky. School was built by former slaves, had no money at all, but they had a desire to educate their own, and they had a standard of excellence. They had a standard. They had a standard they believed in, and they weren't going to deviate from that. And they said, we need to have smart babies. So you know what they did? They built this school, and they took what little books they could get their hands on, and they started educating black kids. And do you know that thousands and thousands and thousands of black college graduates came out of that school, right? So what I'm saying is, like, in this LeBron statement, I'm probably making more of it than he meant to make of it. I think LeBron is he's making some career moves. I think going to the Lakers, it was driven by, what he's trying to do out in Hollywood now, which I think is just brilliant. I love it. I think also he was trying to generate a little controversy to get attention on his new show. I think also he was trying to show, that, look, I'm still black, which I respect. I love that. And also he's to a point where it doesn't matter anymore. He doesn't care anymore because he's 33 years old and he won't be playing much longer. And he might have a championship or two in him. Who knows? I hope he does. But it seems like he's preparing for that transition, which makes me very proud of him. So I think as an athlete, if you have a young man or young woman in your family that has that level of talent and they're going to go pro, I think LeBron is a perfect case study to, understand in terms of how to conduct yourself as an athlete and a human being. He's a brilliant guy. What he's done has been amazing. But I think also, his remarks kind of speak to the necessity for us as Black people to kind of elevate our thinking when it comes to just sort of like why we think that by default, in order for you to be a successful Black person, you must find a way to get comfortable with white people. It ain't got to be that way. See, white people, to be comfortable, they don't, to be successful, they don't have to get comfortable with you. They can act like you don't exist. White people will make a movie. You ever see white folks make a movie about the future? You ever notice how in futuristic movies that white people make, there's never a Black person anywhere in the movie? Like that's like, it's like fantasy. Like they literally are fantasizing a world where they're the only ones and that they don't have to deal with the whole Black people problem. Like, so in a lot of ways, unfortunately, we're kind of like a nuisance to them. We're kind of like rodents to them, and I hate saying it like that, but it's true. It's really true. They don't like dealing with with what they think is our nonsense. They don't like dealing with this whole, they certainly don't want to hear you talk about reparations or anything like that. They think they think about this. They define you as a troublemaker if you even speak about reparations and speak about actual justice, right? Which the racial double standard comes into play in the sense that if you were a white feminist talking about, receiving compensation for sexual harassment, they would totally get that. They totally understand that. Even if it's not proven, even if you're making it up, even if you just decide you want to falsely accuse somebody, it doesn't matter. They're going to give you the compensation you deserve. But for Black people, even if you have proof, even if you have evidence, they don't want to hear that. They say, oh, no, why are you being a troublemaker? Why are you doing? And that's the nature of the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Now, speaking on Colin Kaepernick, I'm really happy with what happened with Cap's case. I think it's great. I'm glad it's going to move forward. Do I consider it to be a win for the Black community, as Attorney Compton stated? I don't agree with that entirely, because I don't think that Colin Kaepernick's success or failure in this lawsuit is going to really affect the lives of Black people everywhere. It's more symbolic than anything. It helps him. It doesn't help you. When he gets that settlement check, he ain't sending you none of that. He ain't sending me none of that. We still got our own bills to pay and stuff like that. But I'm happy for him. But the idea that he's seen as a troublemaker for kneeling on behalf of dead Black people is fascinating, because with ESPN, when a feminist literally went off the rails and broke company policy by attacking Stephen A. Smith on Twitter because he offended women, they understood that. They were okay with that, right? So they were okay with a white woman throwing a temper tantrum over something that may or may not have been true, but they have a big issue with Black men just taking a knee, not bothering anybody, not yelling, screaming, not, attacking anybody. I mean, really, some people would say, look, if they're killing your loved ones, you should actually want to fight back. You should actually want to physically confront them, but they're not even doing that. They're just taking a knee, and that's considered to be a bad thing. Now, the other thing about Cap that's fascinating is, this whole idea of blackballing. I think that the writing's kind of very clear. It's really on the wall that, yeah, he was blackballed. He was blacklisted. They didn't want him on any team. This guy was very, very good. He took his team to the Super Bowl, and now suddenly you're telling everybody that he just ain't good enough to even be your third string quarterback. Get out of here with that nonsense. That's BS. We know that's not true. But what is interesting, though, is that this speaks to white supremacy and white power, which is really, that should be your target in terms of as a community. What are we fighting against? What are we, when you see the way I operate, and the way I think, and the way I develop things, the way I develop things is, in mind, I'm always thinking, how do I overcome the limitations from the white power structure, right? How do I create a world where no white man on earth can blackball me even if they wanted to, right? And that's very important, because, for example, if I'm a Black person and I'm in the NFL, NBA, or I'm in Hollywood or whatever, and I say something that upsets white people, even if Black people are fine with it, but it upsets white people, then they can blacklist me. They can kill my ability to make a living. They can destroy my entire career. They can't do that to me where I am now. It's very, very difficult for a white person to destroy me where I am now, because I deliberately removed myself from ecosystems that they control entirely. Doesn't mean I won't dabble. Doesn't mean I don't do business. I actually have a couple of white people that I've done business with, and they're very good people. And it's a very, fine, comfortable conversation when we talk. But their ability to kind of shut me down and say, oh, that Negro will never work again, or that Negro he'll never have a job in this industry. They can't do that. I know what it feels like to be Colin Kaepernick. That I was the Colin Kaepernick of my profession. When I was at Syracuse University, I would go on TV and I would talk about racial issues, and I would speak in a very controversial way, kind of like I do now. I've always been the same person. Just check, go back 25 years. I was the same guy when I was 25 as I am right now, except I'm a little smarter, older, and wiser, which is what's supposed to happen, right? And basically, I got blackballed too. I got blacklisted, and white universities wouldn't hire me. And I had to learn how to think outside of that box, right? And so what I think that what would really benefit Black athletes is you got to think outside of this white ownership box. Some group of y'all is going to have to step up to the plate and form a Black sports league that's run and owned by Black men. Well, some of y'all going to have to do it. And now the hard part, the reason it's not easy is because you ain't going to have the $150 million contracts. You ain't going to have the automatic endorsement deals from Pepsi, Coke, and all of that. You're not going to automatically have, television deals in the billions of dollars from the jump. You're just not going to have that. But what you will have is you'll have your damn freedom. You'll have your freedom and your ability to call the shots. You'll have the ability to shape a vision in your own image as opposed to submitting to a vision that's in his image. Everything you're doing right now, every day as a Black athlete, is you're praying to a white Jesus. And then you're wondering why you can't invoke African spirituality into an environment where everybody else is praying to the white Jesus. It's because that ain't your church. You just in the pews. You just a parishioner. You ain't the pastor. You didn't build the building. That ain't your church. So the thing about it, though, is that in order for you to really kind of get away from that and break out of those chains, you got to expand your thinking. Somebody has to have a vision that's big enough to say, let's not talk about where the athlete is next week. Let's not talk about where we are on Sunday after the game is over. Let's talk about where the Black athlete is going to be 30 years from now, right? Let me tell you a little secret. If I'm not mistaken, the Chicago Bears were purchased for like $100 when the NFL started in 1910, 1920. I don't remember what years. I got to look it up. They were purchased for less than $100, if I'm not mistaken. The Chicago Bears right now is worth about $2.5 billion, but they were purchased for $100. Now, why is that? How could you buy this $1 billion sports team for $100? It was because at that time, the NFL was nothing. At that time, the NFL was just a vision, a collective vision held by a small group of people who planned to make it into something special one day. The NFL at that time was a vision created by a group of people who walked away from something else to say, we're going to create something that ain't much right now, but it's going to be something special in about 50 years. You see, so what I think that we got to kind of process is that, the right idea. Ice Cube has the right idea. He created a sports league. It's the big three, right? Very smart guy. I mean, the way he did it, I hope he's at least the majority owner. I hope it ain't no nonsense where he's put his name on it and a bunch of white guys own it, because that happens a lot. But I like that. What he's done is he's basically said, these great Black athletes, they have these big brands that everybody knows about. They're being thrown out with the garbage. And why would we throw an Allen Iverson out with the garbage when every Black person in America and a lot of white people still love and respect Allen Iverson? Why not let him play and just have him play against other guys his age? Kind of like the Masters League of basketball. Like in golf, they have the Masters where the older players go out and play against each other, and instead of doing what they did when they were 25 years old. So, that's what I see with Colin Kaepernick's situation. He is being blackballed. The NFL is basically saying, like, okay, yeah, we blackballed you because it's our league. What are you going to do about it? And he's doing the right thing. He's filed the lawsuits, and I think he's going to have a shot at winning. He's going to get a payoff. But here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of fallout. They might, in their mind, they're going to be thinking, yeah, you got away with it. We're going to pay you. We'll pay you $20 million because $20 million ain't nothing to us. But guess what? When we see any Black man that comes in this league who even acts like they respect you, even acts like they might do what you did, we're going to cut him off before he even gets a chance to prove himself enough to win a lawsuit. we're gonna just make sure he never gets on the team, so he can't come back and say, well, I took the team to the Super Bowl and that's why y'all didn't have a right to cut me. So that's what they're gonna do. That's how people, not even white folks, that's how people adjust. They adjust. So there's gonna be a price to be paid. It just won't be paid by Colin Kaepernick. He'll pay the smallest price. He'll get the payoff from the courts and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they, look, Antonio Cromartie, his wife already said that he got cut as soon as he went to the Colts and he tried to get on the knee or whatever. They said, no, you can't do that here. So it's, and that's happening all over the league. So this is not a big win for Black people. This is a win for Colin Kaepernick. It's actually a loss for Black people. What we probably need to do is talk about plans to have our own league. So if anybody knows, I don't hang out with a lot of athletes. I know a couple of people that are that play sports, and and I know some guys that are heavy hitters, but I'm not big on networking. I don't go around trying to form all these connections to do all this stuff. But if anybody knows anybody, and you're a former athlete and you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, and you just want me to help you lay out a plan, I'll give you a plan. I'll give you my 2 cents. I'll contribute. I'll be on the board or whatever it is. But again, it's got to be something that's got some real muscle behind it. You can't do it without millions of dollars behind it, right? And the fact of the matter is that with all the millions athletes waste on stupid stuff, why don't you put a few $1 million behind a real vision that's going to really change the future of sports? LeBron's school is a brilliant, wonderful thing. It is great. It is wonderful for those children that go to that school. But what you got to do is make sure that it doesn't just become a publicity stunt. It has to be more. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means, this should actually spark a revolution. Nationwide, we should have Black schools all over the United States, all over the world, really. We can build our own schools. Freedom Home Academy International educates Black children better than 99% of all white schools. Why don't we have 1,000 of those schools all across the United States? Well, the owner, Marcus Klein, he goes around, he does the best that he can, and he builds as many schools as possible, but he can't do it by himself. But if the whole community got behind him, the way we got behind Disney when they made the Black Panther, he could have 1,000 of those schools built in a couple of months. So just think about where your energy is being put. I think that's really, really important. Actually, speaking of schools, we do have a school for kids in the Black Business School. If you want to get your children educated on business, feel free to check it out. BlackMillionairesOfTomorrow.com. That's BlackMillionairesOfTomorrow.com. Also, if you want to educate the whole family, and we actually do, some of you are asking, how do you actually sign up for a lot of classes in the Black Business School? We actually have a premium package at allblackeducation.com. That's allblackeducation.com. If you go to allblackeducation.com right now, you can actually get 40% off if you use the passcode Panther66. That's one word, not two words, one word, Panther66. Go to allblackeducation.com, use the code Panther66. A Panther is our logo of the Black Business School. Let's see here. Jonathan says, since listening to you and developing my mindset, I'm doing a 20% ROI in my stocks so far. Good for you. Actually, what a lot of people don't talk about is that the stock market has been on a historic rise for the last like 12 years. Literally, you're in the middle of a 12-year bull market. Like ever since 09, 08, when a lot of people left the market because the prices went down, a lot of smart people stayed and they bought more stock. So those people actually made a ton of money. John, what's his name? I forgot his name. Gosh, I can't remember his brother's name. Out of Chicago, he's a Black billionaire. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, he wrote a great article where he said Black people gave away probably $1 trillion in wealth, or at least hundreds of billions of dollars, because we all evacuated the stock market when it went down. You see, the problem is that when you think about investing, it's a little bit like clothes, right? When it comes to clothing and what people wear, you have people that are trendsetters, and then you have people that are trend followers. Well, a small percentage of people are trendsetters. Black people as a community, we set trends. Y'all know that, right? Everybody copies what we do. But then you got a lot of people who are trend followers. They just do what everybody else is doing. Y'all know people like that who just see what everybody else is wearing, so they think it's cool to wear it because everybody's wearing it, or a saying that, maybe a phrase everybody's using, they start using the phrase because everybody's using it, right? And so ultimately with investing, it's the same way. The trendsetters are the people that will invest in something when the price has dropped because they want to hold on to it so that they can benefit when the price goes up. A trend follower is a person who will sell when the price drops because everybody else is selling. They're just following the crowd, right? But then also, again, when the price goes up, the trendsetters are the people who say, okay, now I want to sell that because the price is way too high. I'm gonna go ahead and go invest over here where nobody else is. The trend followers are the people who start buying when everything goes way up. So they end up losing. So in investing, you're supposed to buy low, sell high. A trend setter buys low and they sell high. A trend follower buys high and they sell low because they're following what everybody else just did, right? Like gentrification, right? When we had these neighborhoods in our Black communities in the 1970s that were falling apart because of drugs and crime and everything else, we wanted to leave. We wanted to get rid of the cheap land, sell the cheap land, and take our money and go to the suburbs because that was where white people lived, and that's where we thought happiness would be available to us, right? So we went out there, and what happened was at the same time they were coming back. They were coming to buy the cheap land and developing the cheap land and making it too expensive for us to live there, and so we're out in the suburbs. They're coming back to the city, and then we're mad because they took the land that we didn't really want at all in the first place. Kenny Gamble, who's actually going to be at the All Black National Convention, was very smart. When he started writing those songs with Gamble and Huff, he wrote a lot of really big hit songs like Me and Mrs. Jones, and he wrote songs for Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin and people like that. Well, he was making money hand over fist. All his friends, all Kenny's friends were out buying jewels and clothes and cars, and again trying to follow the trend. Kenny wasn't a trend follower. Kenny was a trend setter. So you know what Kenny did with his money? He didn't go buy he didn't waste his money on all of that stuff. He took his money and went back and bought up his old neighborhood. He went and bought up he said his mother didn't want him to buy in that neighborhood. She said, I don't want a house in that neighborhood. That neighborhood has bad memories. But he saw that the land was cheap, and he said, if I can build it up, then we can actually build some major wealth, right? So Kenny, that's what he did with his money. So ultimately, when it comes to investing, you want to think about it like trends. You know, are you going to be a trend setter or are you a trend follower? Do not be a follower because people will lead you right off a damn cliff. That's just real. I'll tell you another area where trend following gets us into big trouble. Might have to actually do with student loans. Let me show y'all something that I thought was really funny. This just made me laugh because I get all serious. So I need to like every now and then do something like that. It's like not so serious. So y'all know I'm not serious all the time. But look at this. Okay. So you can see this. It says, somebody put this on social media. They said, what would you do if someone left you 8.7 million? And the person said, I'll pay off my student loans and use the remaining $10 to go to the movies. Right. So I thought that was really funny. And a lot of people laughed about that because a lot of people feel that pain of student loans. They feel that pain from overpriced education and how it's actually really set them back. And so I've spoken on it before, so I'm only going to be brief in terms of breaking down for those who didn't hear my analysis on the student loan epidemic, because a lot of y'all caught in it. Here's the deal with the student loan thing. Number one, universities are able to get away like a fat rat because they have so much funding available for student loans. And when you have that much funding capacity available to one sector of the economy where there can be that much debt accumulated, what happens is it inflates prices. So because what happens is that because education is seen as what we in economics, we call that an inelastic commodity. An inelastic commodity is like cigarettes or drugs. People will pay anything to get a pack of cigarettes if they really want to smoke, or they'll pay anything to get some drugs if they really want to get high, right? So with education, people will pay anything to get a college degree because they really have been fed this idea that if you get a college degree, anything's possible for you. If you don't get a college degree, then you will fail, right? So basically that allows them to inflate the price to as high as they want, and people will keep paying it. So in a lot of universities, I heard from a young lady I mentor at USC, and she told me that next year, the cost to go to USC for a year is going to be about $75,000, $80,000 a year. My assistant, her son, the school he goes to, I think it's almost $100,000 a year to go to this school. He got a scholarship, but it's almost $100,000 a year. And so effectively what's occurred is that a lot of Black people have accumulated so much debt that the average Black college graduate has actually defaulted on their student loan debt. The average Black college graduate owes more now than they owed when they actually finished. And that's crazy because you didn't borrow any more money, but what happened is the interest and the fees just kept piling on to the point where the debt has gotten to a point where you're just like, man, who cares? I'm just giving up on it. And now, luckily, you can still get a decent credit score, even if your student loans are still high. Banks know that the student loan epidemic is so bad that they kind of don't expect people to have paid their loans all off. But if you can get them in compliance where you're making a regular payment or something like that, where they're not in a delinquent state, then that can actually help your credit score. But also, I think, you want to think about how you educate your kids. I think that when you talk about educating your kids, I don't think a college degree, number one, it ain't worth $80,000, $100,000 a year. Most degrees are not worth that. Then number two, when you get that much debt, it's very, very difficult to pay it off. I think number three, when you graduate, the jobs are not what they used to be, and they don't pay what they used to be, and they don't have the security that they used to be. So you're talking about fewer jobs with lower pay, with less job security for a degree that costs more money. So you're paying more money it's like there's a field of strawberries across a fence, and you're deciding, do I want to jump this fence to go get those strawberries? Well, when I was young, maybe the fence was 2 feet off the ground, and the field was filled with strawberries. You could just pack up your whole backpack and eat for the next 2 weeks. Right now, the field has almost no strawberries. There's like literally 1 to 10 in terms of the number of strawberries available. So if you get across the fence, the reward is much lower than what it used to be. And then on top of that, there's no longer this little 2-foot fence that you could jump over. Now there's a 30-foot fence with barbed wire at the top, where you're going to cut yourself in the face trying to get over this damn thing to get these scarce strawberries, right? So if you go into it thinking that the strawberry reward is the same as it used to be, you're going to be really disappointed. You think you're going to go over there and get a backpack full of strawberries and eat good, when really you're just going to get a cut up face and you're going to starve to death. So that's kind of what's happened, I think, when it comes to the student loan epidemic. So there's a couple of solutions I suggest that you consider for your family. Number one, I'll tell you what, with kids in our house, I am constantly a strong advocate for getting tutors. We got a babysitter that comes and watches the kids, but we also deliberately pick a babysitter who can help with other things around the house. So we say, okay, we need somebody who can cook, who can clean, who can also tutor, who can sit with them and work with them to make sure that they're on top of the math, that they know everything about starting a business. They know I got my kids the financial flashcards. Like I have the financial and entrepreneurship flashcards. So I have the tutor go with the kids through the flashcards, to go through the BMOT program, to go through mathematics, everything, right? So that's one thing, right? So it costs a little bit of money, a little bit, it might cost, I don't know, like, I don't know, maybe a little bit less than what a car note would be or something like that. And I think that it's interesting, right? Like the average car note's about $500 a month, but you can get a lot of stuff done for your kids for like $200 or $300 a month. And I find it interesting, and we got to think about this in our culture. Why is our car note worth more than our kids? Why should your car be worth more than your children? But for a lot of families, they'll spend that $400 or $500 on the car, but they won't spend that $100, $200 on their child's education. They might spend that much on football camp and basketball camp, but won't spend it on math camp, business camp, and all the other camps they need to be a part of in order to be really successful. So that's one thing. And so the strategy is you invest in the education to get them way ahead of the curve, so that when it's time to go to college, they're not getting the crappy test scores. They're getting the top test scores. They don't have the crappy grades. They got the excellent grades. Well, guess what happens then? They get scholarships, which saves your family hundreds of thousands of dollars and keeps your child out of debt. You see, so our rule is, even though, I could afford that crazy tuition amount, I guess, if I just like literally wanted to torture myself, but I'm like, I'm not paying all of that. No, we're going to get scholarships up in this house so that the family's not burdened by giving all of our money away to white people, paying for this overpriced education that ain't worth $80,000 a year. Do you follow me? So that's like a little tip I'm just kind of giving you guys. The second thing, most Black people go to college because they want to make some money, right? That's usually why you do it, right? You want to go and you're hoping like you'll go and like learn some skill and get some degree that will have some white person come along and pay you like a nice salary to serve them or whatever, right? That's what we do. We're built for servitude like that. That's just who we are, I guess. There's a lot of ways. I mean, I didn't know this when I was coming out of high school, but there's a whole lot of ways to make a whole lot of money that ain't got nothing to do with getting nobody's job. Seriously. I think that a child who is raised to be really, really good at real estate, and entrepreneurship and investing at an early age, and if you have a little nest egg for that child, they ain't really got to go to college to be rich. They ain't even got to go to college to be educated. Seriously. My brother's about to give birth to my niece. He's not giving birth, his wife is, so y'all know what I mean. And I said, look, here's the thing. I'm gonna open up a trust for my niece, and I'm going to contribute to this trust on a regular basis because I know that in 30 years, I'm not going to tell her about the money till she's 28. But in 28 years, 30 years, I already know mathematically that if I just put little drops of money in that sucker, she's going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time she's 28, 30. I said, now, what I do not want, I will not allow is for all this hard work of these years and years of investing to be blown away because she went and spent $200,000 a year on some college degree, giving the money right back to white people. I'm not going out like Prince or Aretha Franklin. God bless them. God bless them. But Prince and Aretha Franklin each are making about a $10 million donation to white supremacy because they did not plan their estate properly. Love them to death. Love their music. Ain't got nothing to do with the music. But that was a dumbass move. Dumbass move. Sorry. Love you, Aretha. Love you, Prince. But that was bad. What were you thinking? Anyway, I'm not doing that. We're not giving a donation to white people because I'm like LeBron. White people don't make me comfortable. So I said, here's what I want to do. I said, when this little baby comes out, we're going to put this money to the side. We're going to grow it in this trust. We're not going to tell her about it because we're not going to give her the money. Like, don't give your child a bunch of money when they're 18. They're going to just waste it, give it to their boyfriend or something crazy like that. Also, we're not going to give it to white people. So a college degree, I want her to be positioned for a scholarship if she chooses to go to college. But here's what we're going to do also. I said, because you live in Colombia, she's going to be bilingual. She's going to know Spanish and English just because of her environment. So she has room for one more language. Teach her Chinese. Get her a Chinese tutor so that she can learn Mandarin at an early age. Then I want you to take her to China 2 or 3, 4, 5 times before she turns 18 so that she can comfortably fit into the culture, comfortably go over there and do business, comfortably go to 80% of the world and make it rain on herself. I said, next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that whatever she learns, she might go to cheerleading, she might play basketball, she might enjoy, going to school and reading old English literature and Shakespeare and all the other nonsense, whatever it is. That's not nonsense, but we should be reading black people stuff before we start reading all about our oppressor. Like, that's just some slave thinking right there. I said, but the thing I'm going to make sure she knows how to do, if I can help it, if I can contribute to this, is she will know these things. She will be extremely good at reading so she can consume massive amounts of information in a short period of time. She will be an excellent writer so she can communicate her best ideas in a business plan or whatever she wants, write a book, whatever she's trying to do. So she's going to practice writing on a regular basis. She will know how to do math because if she knows math well, she can then calculate and count her own money and solve problems in her own life. She's going to know Black history, so she knows who she is. She won't just know who George Washington is. She'll know he's a slave. He raped slaves. She'll know that. But she'll also know who the great kings and queens of Africa were, and she'll know who she is as a Black woman. And then on top of that, she's going to know how to start a business. She's going to know how to start a business. She's going to know how to buy a home. She's going to know how to make an investment. She's going to know how to go out here and get some damn money. Money may not be important to her, but everybody who says money ain't important is usually a person who ain't never had to go without it. Because if money ain't important to you, then why are you out here slaving and giving up all your time trying to go make $1? How many people talk about money don't matter, it ain't important, I don't want to learn how to make money, but then every single day they're spending 80% of their time that they could be spending with their family, they're spending that time going out hunting for money. That's what animals do. When animals get hungry, they leave their cave and they go out hunting for food. Well, when Black people get broke, we can't stay with our children in our cave, in our home. We got to leave the cave and go out hunting for money and food in order for us to survive. So everybody who sits around and tells me that the stuff that I'm talking about, when I'm talking about financial literacy and proposing the idea of massive amounts of Black economic education, everybody who thinks that that's boring, everybody who thinks that that's nonsense, everybody who thinks I'm being too serious, look at your damn life. Look at how much time you spend getting up every day, going out your house, leaving behind your children with God knows who in order to go out and serve some white man so he can help you pay the bills. Why do you do that and then somehow think that I'm being too crazy or too serious or too intense or whatever it is, or teaching something that's not necessary? It doesn't add up. It does not make any sense. So basically, that's the plan. That's our plan. I don't know what my niece is going to be like. For all I know, she could come out and she could be an asshole. She could grow up to be like a Black Klansman or something and literally disavow every single thing that I do. She could be watching this video 30 years from today, right now in the year 2048. She could be watching this video that I'm doing right now saying, my Uncle Boyce was a crazy son of a bitch, and I never care about anything he had to say. That might be possible. But in my capacity as one of her elders, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that that little girl is in a position to compete and to succeed. She will not be a broken Negro run around talking about how white people have her oppressed. How did you get oppressed? Well, somebody taught you how to be oppressed. She will never learn how to be oppressed. So she won't even know when you talk about being an oppressed Black woman, she may not even know what you're talking about. Because whatever we do on a daily basis, it's taught. It's taught. Okay, I'm gonna go. Speaking of kids, I gotta go feed the kids. I think they want pizza or something, so I'm gonna go order like some pizza. I know y'all don't make fun of me because we gonna order pizza, but that's what they like. All right, so as a reminder, All Black National Convention. Come to the All Black National Convention. It'll change your life. It's extraordinary. If you've been there, raise your hand. Please say something and tell everybody how great it is so that everybody will know it's very, very beneficial for you to go ahead and get that ticket, get that hotel, come to the All Black National Convention. You can get your tickets, your passes at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Everything that's Black, everything that's us, everything that's empowering, from economics to education to everything else to relationships, that's what we cover. And it's like the best family reunion you've ever been a part of. Also, if you want to enroll your kids in the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. You can get the first month free. If you want to take, actually, if you want to study under Attorney Compton, her and Attorney Demario Solomon Simmons and Attorney Tanya Nebo, they meet with students several times a week in the Black Legal Program. It is a law school for people that don't want to be lawyers, right? So, but if you're a person that wants to know the law so that you can deal with police, or you can deal with a lawsuit, or you can deal with your business, or whatever it is you're trying to do, go to theblacklegalprogram.com. That's theblacklegalprogram.com. You can get the first month free. I highly recommend it. We only offer things that people need. And so I know that this is something that I know is something I knew I needed as a businessman, as a Black man, as a human being. So that's why we offered it to you. All right. Make sure you hit the if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and all that good stuff. If you want to see me go live when I talk about current events and news and stuff like that, you can subscribe at drboycetv.com. That's drboycetv.com. If you want to actually see the lectures where I'm pulling out PowerPoint slides and teaching the technicals of investing or whatever the case may be, you can actually sign up at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So there's literally about 100 hours of content. The best part also is we just implemented certificates. So you and your children can actually go in through the programs, go through all the videos, go through all the material, and then you can get a certificate from the Black Business School that you can actually put on your wall like a degree. So check it out. You'll love it. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So I hope that I didn't give you the information too fast. And the recording of this conversation, I'll also put it in there as well. So take care, guys. I hope you guys have a good day, and I love you, and I will see you soon. Be good.